Welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. I'm your host, Blair Parks. Here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, I discuss, honor, and celebrate all things college football across the entire landscape, but with a special emphasis on the black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. What a weekend of football we had. You've got me here on a Monday afternoon. This is my Week 8 review show. And if you watched last week's episode, I titled this one The Leftovers. Weeks 4 through 7 acted as our 4-course meal. And being the gracious host that I am, I gave you an additional course. So hopefully the gourmet was just as good the second time around for the leftovers. But what an intriguing weekend we had. Once again, the narrative continues as it has the entire season. Very odd weekend that both our beloved black and gold squads, both Missouri and Iowa, both had the weekend off, but still I have plenty to talk about during today's episode. And getting back to the narrative we saw during Week 8, five more ranked teams lost. Now, that sounds impressive itself, most impressive. But to remind you that we did not see a single ranked versus ranked matchup during Week 8. So yes, you had those 5 losses by the ranked teams came at the hands of unranked opponents. And once again, we saw not one, but 2 AP top 10 teams lose at the hands of unranked opponents. One I definitely saw coming and actually predicted it during the Week 8 preview show. The other one definitely did not see it coming, and I'll get to those here in a little bit. But before I go any further, I'd like to take a moment to thank you for your time, your support, your viewership. Let's continue to get the word out there to all black and gold fans near and far and everywhere in between, north, south, east, west. Let's get it out there to every college football fan while we're at it. I really would appreciate if you could like, share, subscribe, comment, let me know how I'm doing, if there's something you'd like me to discuss on air, if you have any questions for me that I could answer. I want to keep you, the audience, involved, the black and gold family, so please hit me up on my offer. Really would appreciate it. Today, I have 3 segments, 3 topics that I want to discuss and present and share with you, as usual, on my review shows. First segment is going to be my initial commentary and observations from what I saw from some of the key matchups, kind of revisited those that I pointed out during the Week 8 preview show, let you know how they turned out. Then I would like to unveil the updated AP poll based on the action that we saw from Week 8. And then third, give you an update on how my Week 8 Pick'em segment went. I did have a guest picker last week. My friend, my colleague, Logan, made his run. Let's see if he was able to take down myself and Charlie, my former co-host, Mizzou fan number 1. Let's see if he was able to take us both down as our challenger and claim Week 8 Pick'em champ. So let's get right on into it, shall we? Now, just to once again further tell you that I already mentioned we had 5 ranked teams lose. That now makes, at the end of Week 8, we've had 52 losses by ranked teams. That is a historic clip. I can't believe that number is as high as it is. Normally, that's what you might see an entire season, and we're just past the halfway point. 52 losses by ranked teams. And I did point out, too, that 2 of those losses were AP top 10 teams. And overall, what a great time to be alive if you're a sports fan. I mean, we're past the halfway point for college football. We're approaching the halfway point in the NFL season. The Fall Classic has now been set. We've got the Atlanta Braves versus the Houston Astros in the World Series. I got to root for Dad's team. Go Braves. That was his team going back to the old Milwaukee days. Get it done, Braves. The NBA is well underway. Quick shout out. Our Chicago Bulls are 3-0 on the young season. Da Bulls. Keep it up. And NHL is underway. I believe they're 2 or 3 weeks into their season. Pardon me for not knowing. I'm not really a big hockey fan, but I know it's going on. So what a time to be alive if you're a sports fan. Excellent time. So let's get right into it. My first segment is my key matchups revisited. First one, let's talk about number 16, Wake Forest traveled to Michie Stadium to take on Army West Point in New York. What a game we had. I mean, in the most unlikely of all offensive shootout matchups that were potentially on the gridiron over the weekend, Wake Forest scores a 70-56 victory over Army on the road. That many points being scored against Army and by Army is absolutely redonkulous, bonkers, B-A-N-A-N. Is this bananas? It's crazy. Another crazy stat from this game, Wake Forest scored 70 points, but only had possession for 17 minutes. Crazy. Boom. Mind blown. Big victory. And it especially makes you, ponder the question that currently the national defense budget is $800 billion. Where's the defense with that kind of a budget? Where was it for Army? But, man, I can't believe over-under for this game was 54, and that was eclipsed by Army by themselves. What a game. What a game. Wake Forest remains undefeated, and the ACC's best chance to reach the playoffs. So well done, Demon Deacons. 7-0 for the first time since 1944. Keep it up. Next game that we saw that I wanted to revisit was Clemson at number 23 Pittsburgh. Following a 27-17 win by Pitt, the funeral for Clemson can officially be scheduled. Their hopes for not only a playoff bid, but an ACC title chance is absolutely ended. Their season has been absolutely, it's just spiraling out of control what's happening there at Clemson. And Pittsburgh continues to march on. Look very effective, proficient. They play clean. This is a scary, sneaky, good team. Even though they aren't going to sneak up on anybody from here out, this is a very good team. Are they a potential playoff dark horse contender or participant? Potentially, but I think they're going to need a lot of help. Some other teams are going to need to lose around them or ahead of them, which it has been total chaos this season. It could definitely happen. But I'm very impressed by this Pitt team. Now updated, the Pitt QB, Kenny Pickett, now has thrown 23 touchdowns to 1 interception. I definitely believe he will start getting some Heisman love and will kind of put himself in the race for the Heisman Trophy very soon. Quick stat I want to share with you. Clemson, for the vaunted offense they were supposed to be, they recruit at the highest of levels. What we were expecting this year. They played 6 games prior to playing Pitt, but I'm only going to count 5 because one of them was against FCS opponent South Carolina State, where they really ran up the score big time, not very vindicative of their offense. So in the 5 games previous to Pittsburgh over the weekend, they only had recorded 12 plays of 20 yards or more. Not good for a vaunted offensive team that they were supposed to be. So Clemson, too bad, as always next season. ACC basketball tips off in a matter of weeks. Basketball season's right around the corner. Pittsburgh, keep it up. Good game. Next game I want to revisit, it was number 10 Oregon traveled to UCLA to take on the Bruins in the Rose Bowl. Big time moment for UCLA. Game day made the track out west. which is something they don't very seldomly do. Big moment for UCLA, up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. Everything looking very good for UCLA. And then the quack attack began. Ultimately, Oregon would win 34-31, keeping their playoff hopes alive. It's going to be tough for let's say Oregon runs the table, win the Pac-12 title game. They're sitting there 12-1 with that big-time road win at Ohio State, who's looking very impressive, flexing like crazy right now are the Buckeyes. It's going to be hard to keep a 12-1 Oregon team out of the playoff, folks. So they are absolutely still in the race. UCLA, with that loss, has basically almost eliminated themselves from Pac-12 South contention. And that coaching hot seat for UCLA head coach Chip Kelly is absolutely getting hotter by the moment. If you recall, I may or may not have predicted that he would be dismissed from UCLA. I think maybe during the midweek show, because I don't have a lot to talk about as far as Iowa and Missouri this past week. On Wednesday's show, I'm going to revisit a few of my crystal ball predictions to let you know kind of how some of them are looking at this point, just past the halfway point of the college football season. Another fun stat to share with you, the Oregon running back Travis Dye, who basically is their backup since C.J. Verdell, their star running back, is out for the season with injury. He scored 4 straight touchdowns on 4 straight carries. That is a NCAA Division I record. So there you go. Fun little tidbit of history for you. Maybe if you happen to find yourself at a bar, you can win yourself a free drink with that trivia question. So once again, Oregon staying the course, in their lane, getting it done. Next game I want to revisit was the yearly rivalry edition, even though we didn't have it last season due to conference-only games. USC traveled to number 13 Notre Dame to play the Fighting Irish in South Bend. What usually serves as one of the must-see TV dramas every year. Definitely lacked that this season. Really kind of a dud, especially of the men of Troy. I mean, the final score ended up being 31-16, but it was never really in doubt. USC never really challenged or pushed the Fighting Illini. And now here we are. USC season continues to spin out of control. I believe they're 3-4 now on the season. After week 2, firing their embattled coach, Clay Helton. It's only getting worse there for the men of Troy in L.A., and here we have Notre Dame sitting there with only 1 loss. If they run the table, which you look at their schedule, they could. They've got to play Virginia. They have North Carolina this coming week. Navy, Stanford. If they complete the season and go 11-1 with their only loss coming to undefeated and number 2 ranked Cincinnati, that team could also be a playoff participant. We've seen that happen with Notre Dame because of the Notre Dame and independent rule. So they finished 11-1, folks. They're probably going to be in the playoff. So it's just crazy what is happening right now in college football. So that's how that game played out. Next game I want to revisit was the big one in the Big Ten, especially the Big Ten West. Wisconsin traveled to West Lafayette to take on number 25 Purdue. And welcome back to the Big Ten West race, Wisconsin. We saw during this game, Wisconsin does Wisconsin things, and Purdue continued to do Purdue things, which Purdue, after a week, after knocking off our beloved Hawkeyes, the number 2 team in the nation at the time, they cannot sustain success. They lose once again after a big win. That has been kind of their MO under current coach Jeff Brom. Huge victory, and then the next week they seem to always lay a dud. But Wisconsin does what they do. Pick themselves up. They're now above 500, and they are absolutely a contender in the Big Ten West. And this is how they won. I mean, Wisconsin ran for 286 yards while only passing for a mediocre 52 yards on 8 attempts. So basically, use that run game, get those horses up front to block, force turnovers. This Wisconsin team does play very solid defense. I believe they forced 5 turnovers by Purdue, We have a huge game coming up in Week 9 when Iowa travels to Wisconsin. I'll talk more about that during our midweek show. But just to tell you right now, Week 9 is rivalry week. I am so excited for it, but I got to contain myself and keep on target for this episode. So big win for Wisconsin. Ended up being a final of 30-13. Next game I want to revisit was my non-Power 5 Spotlight game of the week, and it did not disappoint. That was the Nevada Wolfpack traveled to the Fresno State Bulldogs. Big-time game within the Mountain West division. It's just funny to say the Mountain West. Big game, Fresno State. They held on for a 34-32 win following a failed 2-point conversion by Nevada with 2 ticks left. So great game. It came down to it. These two quarterbacks who you will see in the NFL, Carson Strong for Nevada, Jake Haener for Fresno State, put up big numbers. What a game to watch. Probably one of the most entertaining, best games that happened on Saturday. Carson Strong might be the overall first quarterback taken in the upcoming NFL draft. We'll have to wait and see. Now, with that win, this sets up a huge matchup within the Mountain West between Fresno State and San Diego State, who did pull off the victory over the weekend at the Air Force Academy. They went in and beat the Flyboys. So a huge matchup coming up during Week 9, rivalry week. So stay tuned for more on that game later this week. And the last big matchup that I want to discuss, this is one of the 2 games that we saw a top 10 opponent lose to an unranked team. This was the number 8 and undefeated Oklahoma State Cowboys traveled to Ames to take on the Iowa State Cyclones, a game that I predicted Iowa State would come out on top, and they did, 24-21. Welcome back, Iowa State, to the spotlight, a team that we had kind of totally forgotten about. We had basically written them off, left them out to pasture to die, and here they are. With this victory, they're sitting there in the highly contested Big 12 with 1 loss, and everything is in front of them. They control their own destiny. I definitely think this is going to be a much heated run. It's going to be a heated battle within that conference. High drama. I love it. Absolutely love it. Once again, I predicted this. I still think Iowa State is going to be a major factor, not just in the Big 12, but for the playoff participation in general. If they happen to knock off Oklahoma once or twice, I don't think Iowa State gets themselves in, but does that potentially keep a reeling Oklahoma team out? Absolutely it could. So this is an excellent win for the Iowa State program. Another big-time win for Matt Campbell under his tenure at Iowa State. Well done, Cyclones. And the other upset we saw within the top 10, I did not mention this because I did not see it coming during my key matchups that I pointed out to you during the Week 8 preview show last week. Let me just set this up here. We had a number 7 team at home hosting a team that's below 500. I believe they were a 24-point favorite. And the visiting team, once again, sub 500, came in. They turned the ball over 3 times, missed 1 field goal attempt, and only passed for 38 yards. What are the chances that that team would win? You're probably thinking 0 to very, very, very little. But we saw that exactly happen. Illinois went to number 7 Penn State, knocked off the Nittany Lions in a 9-overtime thriller in Happy Valley. Turned out being a not-so-happy valley for Penn State and their fans. That is now Penn State's 2nd loss in a row. They lost to Iowa during Week 6. Off a bye week, come out and lose this complete dud of a game against Illinois, 20-18. Well done, Illinois. Huge win for Coach Brett Bielema. After this, earlier this week, he made some, actually it was last week, made some very disruptive comments about his own team, saying they weren't good, basically saying they suck. Basically from the former administration and tenure under Coach Lovie Smith, inherited not a very good team, not up to the challenge. Then when he was scrutinized for that, took it back a step and said those comments were taken out of context. And then that week, they go on the road and pull a huge upset. Well done, Illinois. And if you listen to me, Las Vegas said they put the over-under win total for Illinois at 3.5. I told you folks, take the bet. The over, they're going to be able to get to 4 victories. That was number 3. They host Rutgers and Northwestern later this season. They'll have every opportunity to make you folks some money if you took the over, as I advised you to. Well done, Illinois. So absolute chaos continues. Didn't see that one coming at all at Penn State. So that was the key matchups there that I wanted to present and share with you. Now, as I do every review show, I want to give you my streakers. Those teams, players, coaches that saw streaks continue and some that saw them end. So the Frank the Tanks for Week 8 are as follows. Let's start off with the streaks that continued. Breece Hall, the Iowa State running back, he recorded a rushing touchdown on Saturday against Oklahoma State. That's his 19th straight game recording a rushing touchdown, keeping his streak intact. The AP Top 10. This is the 5th straight week. 5 weeks that we've seen at least one AP Top 10 opponent lose to an unranked opponent. Absolutely phenomenal. Love it. Gotta love what this season is offering us and showing us. Let's go to Alabama. Alabama for the 34th straight game. They did take care of business and beat Tennessee, but for the 34th straight game, they scored 30 points or more, continuing their streak. Now I have, unfortunately, let's go with Wisconsin next before I get to bad streaks that continued. Wisconsin, following their win at Purdue, they now have won 15 straight games against Purdue. That is phenomenal when you think about that. They've beat Purdue 15 straight times. Impressive. Most impressive, as our boy Lord Vader would say. Now let's get to some negative streaks that continued. Let's start with Arizona. They lost. They were in position to pull to get their first victory of the year. They blew it down the stretch. So Arizona, the Wildcats, now have lost 19 straight games. And also another terrible losing streak. Let's go to UNLV, the Running Rebels out of the Mountain West. Another close. They had their opportunity Friday night to break their losing streak, but they blew it late again. UNLV now has lost 13 straight games. And I wanted to point those two out back to back because those are the only 2 teams in Division I football who are still winless at this point in the college football season. Last one I want to share with you is Vanderbilt. I thought maybe they could knock off the Bulldogs of Mississippi State in Nashville over the weekend. Didn't happen. Now Vandy has lost 17 straight games against SEC opponents. Things aren't getting any better down there in Vanderbilt, but they have a puncher's shot this week against our Missouri Tigers who travel to Nashville. We'll talk about that game more later in the week. Now let's talk about streaks that ended. Coastal Carolina, they lost Wednesday night on the road against unranked Appalachian State. With that loss, they saw their 18-game regular season winning streak, come to an end. So still impressive that they won 18 straight regular season games. That's no more, as the Raven crowed. Syracuse picks up a victory. They win 41-34 at Virginia Tech. That win by Syracuse, that snaps their 10-game ACC losing streak. Well done, Orange. And that is Virginia Tech's 3rd straight loss at home, I believe. So yeah, that coaching hot seat for Justin Fuente at Virginia Tech keeps rising, getting a lot hotter as well. So those were the streaks that we saw continue or end during Week 8. Let me get a quick swig of water. And if you could, really would appreciate those comments, those likes, those shares, those subscriptions. Let's hook it up. Now, the last thing in this segment that I want to share with you, something I started just last week, is the awards. These go to the big man or the big men on campus, those who put up big stats, whether they ended up sharing in victory or defeat. So here are my 3 big men on campus for Week 8. First one is Sam Hartman, the Wake Forest quarterback. I already told you they had a big victory at Army. Sam Hartman threw for 458 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and also added 1 rushing touchdown, so 6 total touchdowns, 458 yards passing. Big time game for Sam Hartman. Well done. The next big men on campus, I'm going to go with Carson Strong, the Nevada quarterback. Even though his team lost at the hands of Fresno State, Carson threw for 476 yards, 4 touchdowns to 1 pick. Great stats, great game for Carson Strong. Almost had him. Just a little 2-point loss. Well done. And my last big man on campus, I'm giving this one to the entire Illinois offensive line and the Illinois running backs. Already told you, Illinois only threw for 38 yards passing. So what did they do? Their victory, their plan, run, 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 and that is exactly what they did. Run, Forest, run. The running backs at Illinois, they tallied 356 yards. Actually, that was as a team as a whole, but I know that Art Satowski didn't rush for a lot of yards. So as a team, Illinois rushed for 356 yards. Well done, O-line. Well done by the rushing attack for Illinois. You deserve it. Well done. So that was my big men on campus. Whew, and it was a big time performance by those individuals. Now, the next segment I want to share with you is the updated AP poll, as I do during each review episode. So let's do, before I name them off, let's do my poll highlights. Welcome back. We have 2 teams that return to the AP poll this week following victories. They are BYU and Iowa State. Nobody made their initial debut on this week's AP poll. Those who are moving up, Pittsburgh with their win at Clemson moved up 6 spots. Baylor moved up 4 spots even though they were idle, had the bye week. Oregon, Kentucky, Wake Forest, and Texas A&M all moved up 3 spots. Moving down, following that loss at home, the upset against Illinois, Penn State's our big dropper. They drop 13 spots. Coastal Carolina drops 10 following the loss to Appy State. Oklahoma State drops 7 spots. Oklahoma, even though they won, they looked very mediocre again at Kansas. They were down 10-0 at halftime. That's right. Kansas blanked Oklahoma in the first half. At that point, at halftime, they sent out an APB, an all-call that Lawrence, Kansas, the Kansas program said the gates are open to the game. No ticket needed. It's free. Come on in. Witness history. Kansas gave them everything they wanted and more, but Oklahoma, with the late touchdown, did pull away and secure victory. So even though they won, they dropped 1 spot in the AP poll. And Iowa, on the bye week, as you know, they moved up 2 spots the easy way. So that's our movers up and movers down. Those who are moving out of the AP poll following a loss was NC State and Purdue. So let me go and unveil the AP poll to you right now. Number 25 is BYU, 24 Coastal Carolina, 23 UTSA, the Roadrunners, still undefeated, 22 is Iowa State, 21 San Diego State, 20 is Penn State, 19 is SMU, 18 is Auburn. 17 is Pitt. 16 Baylor. 15 is Oklahoma State, the Cowboys. 14 is Texas A&M. Big-time impressive victory for the Aggies over the weekend. 13 is undefeated Wake Forest. Number 12 is Kentucky, who was on a bye as well. Number 11 is Notre Dame, following the win over USC. Cracking the top 10 is Ole Miss at number 10. Number 9, Iowa, moving up 2 spots while being on the bye. Number 8 is Michigan State. They were on the bye as well. Number 7 was Oregon. Number 6 is Michigan, who took care of Northwestern big time in the Big House. Number 5 is Ohio State, took care of business big time in Bloomington against Indiana. Number 4 is Oklahoma, down 1 spot. And up a couple spots is Alabama at number 3. Number 2 is Cincinnati, undefeated Cincinnati. The Bearcats sitting right there, sitting pretty. And number 1, again, undisputed, best team in the nation, continues to be the Georgia Bulldogs. So some quick observation and comments from the AP poll. I don't understand why Penn State, they still should be ranked, but that's an awful loss at home to Illinois. I don't see why Penn State is ranked ahead of undefeated's San Diego State and UTSA. That makes no sense to me. They might be one of, if not the best, 2-loss team in the nation, but they should not be ranked ahead of 2 undefeateds who are absolutely dominating their conferences at the Division I level. I think that's an absolute travesty, but I think it's going to work itself out because I don't know if Penn State's going to be able to remain ranked after this week's game upcoming against Ohio State. Tune in for more on that game later in the week. Also, having BYU join the AP poll, yes, they have a victory, but they dropped out after back-to-back losses. Why not Louisiana? Louisiana has 1 loss on the season. If you recall, the Ragin' Cajuns began the season ranked. They lost week 1 at Texas by 20, their only loss of the season. And just 2 weeks ago, they beat Appalachian State, and destroyed them by 30 points. And that's the team that just knocked off undefeated previously Coastal Carolina. So why not Louisiana instead of BYU? That's my take on that. Last thing and a couple other things. Wake Forest is 7-0, undefeated in a Power 5 conference. Yes, the ACC is absolutely down this week. But why are they not a top 10 team? I don't understand why they are still being held back. They moved up a little bit after that win. Maybe if their defense would have played a little bit better against Army, they'd be in the top 10. But I definitely believe they should be rewarded. They should be a top 10 team, and they should be. Last thing is Alabama, number 3. Really? Do you really think they are the 3rd best team in the nation? Granted, they took care of business against Tennessee. They put up 50 points. I believe it was 50-24 was the final score. But that game was challenged. They were challenged through 3 quarters in that game. I don't see why they leapfrog Oklahoma, who's undefeated. I don't know if Alabama's the best 1-loss team in the nation. Ohio State, to me, looks just as good, if not better than they do. Maybe, and then how can you say Oregon can't be when Oregon is the one who handed Ohio State that 1 loss in Columbus? I don't understand the SEC politics involved. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Alabama really is one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the nation. But them being ranked number 3, I don't see it. I don't buy it. They don't deserve to be. Who have they beaten? Yeah, you beat a Florida team who was ranked at the time, but now they have 3 conference losses, and more than likely, after upcoming week 9, going to have 4 when they face off with Georgia. And yeah, you beat Ole Miss, who is a top 10 team now, but that was at home in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, you absolutely ravaged a ranked Miami team opening week of the season, but that's now a Miami team that's below 500. Who have you beaten? I don't understand this number 3 ranking for Alabama. It makes no sense. No sense. It's not deserving. But we don't have to worry about this at all because next Tuesday, the 9th, we're just what, 8 days away from the very first unveiling of the college football playoff rankings come out. So the AP poll doesn't really necessarily matter at this point. It's just kind of a guideline than anything. So we'll see where everyone's ranked next Tuesday for the first playoff rankings are unveiled. So that is my thoughts, and that is the updated AP poll following week 8, heading into week 9. All right, let me get another quick swig of water. Thank you very much for being here with me. Now it's everyone's favorite segment. The climax of the show is let's look at how my week 8 picks treated me, who came out on top, who came out on bottom. We had myself and Charlie. We were challenged by our guest picker, Logan. Let's see how it all turned out. 3 men entered, 1 man left. Let's see who it was. Week 8 was not kind on your boy here. Another really disgusting display. I went 8-7 overall. Charlie, he had himself a day. He went 12-3. I mean, he actually joked with me yesterday when he asked how it turned out and said that explains why College Game Day is calling him for advice and not me. So Charlie had himself a really good week going 12-3. And Logan took some big time risks. I loved it. I actually shared a lot of those risks with him. But Logan went 7-8 on the week. So Charlie is the week 8 champion. Your boy in second, and Logan, his run came up a little bit short. He's in the rear, but it's okay. So some highlights from how the picks treated us. We all got these following games correct. We all picked Wake Forest, UTSA, Pitt, and Notre Dame to win, and they did. We all missed none. We had so many difference of opinions and disagreements. That's why I love this segment so much. That's why I want to get more of you involved. So all of us did not miss any that were repeated by each other. Logan got Oregon State right. He's the only one who picked the Beavers to upset Utah. Well done, Logan. Charlie cleaned house on this one. Charlie got Wisconsin, Ole Miss, Oregon, and San Diego State right. He owned it, kind of explaining why he beat me down this week. And me, I got 2 by myself. I got Fresno State right and the Yale Bulldogs in the Ivy League battle. So we all claimed at least 1 that we got compared to the other competitors. It was a lot of fun. So the current standings right now, heading into week 9, Charlie is in the lead at 76-44. I'm at 70-50. He is 6 games ahead of me. Right now, he's picking at a 63% positive rate. So excellent job. 63% is getting it done. Me, I'm at 58%. If you recall, the goal that we set ourselves at the beginning of the season, when everything cleared, right before the bowl season kicked off, we wanted to be sitting there at 70% or better. Charlie's looking pretty good. Me, I got a lot of work to do, but also bragging rights are on the line between Charlie and myself. I got to come back and come back hard. Now for the guest pickers. And Logan was our final guest picker for the show. So now beginning in week 9, we are going to have the guest picker tournament. So here's how the seeds fell, 1 through 6 for our guest pickers. The 1 seed and securing a first round bye is Brett. He went 11-4. The number 2 seed getting the second first round bye is my boy Brad. He went 8-7. He gets the bye because during that week he came into my house. He beat straight up myself and Charlie. So his prize for beating both hosts was a automatic first round bye. He's seeded number 2. Number 3 is my brother Anthony. He went 10-5 on his chance for Pick'em glory. The 4 seed is my kids, Connor and Eliana. Their shot pretty well. They went 8-7 overall. The 5th seed in the guest picker tournament is my boy Caleb. He went 8-7 as well. But I'm giving the kids the tiebreaker head-to-head because they're my kids and I can. And the 6th seed is Logan, who went 7-8. So week 9's matchup is going to be Logan squares off head-to-head, mano-a-mano with the 3 seed, my brother Anthony. Can't wait for that matchup to play itself out when we'll have 2 men enter, 1 man leaves beyond Thunderdome for Pick'em glory. All right. Last thing, my trap games revisited. It's the trap. Every week I give you a handful of trap games that I potentially could see happen. This week, one of them I had Northwestern at Michigan. That was a miss. Michigan won big time, 33-7. They traveled to number 8 and undefeated Michigan State for week 9, the rivalry game. Next one was number 22 San Diego State at Air Force. Another miss. San Diego State won 20-14. They host Fresno State during week 9, big time matchup in the Mountain West. Next one was LSU traveled to number 12 Ole Miss. Another miss, big time miss. Ole Miss won 31-17, a lot of misses there. Ole Miss travels to number 18 Auburn for week 9. And the last one was USC at number 13 Notre Dame. That was another miss. I was 0 for 4 this past week on trap games. Notre Dame won 31-16. Notre Dame hosts UNC, an offense that can put up a lot of points quickly during week 9 coming up. So, folks, there you have it. That is my week 8 review show. I appreciate everything you do. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, to share my passion with you, the Black and Gold family, and anyone who will have me. Thank you. I hope you walk away feeling informed and entertained. Are you not entertained? That is what I ask. Please, I would appreciate any likes, any shares, any subscriptions. Comment. Let me know how I'm doing. Is there something you'd like me to discuss or present? Or if I made an absolute gaffe, call me out on it. I have no pride issues. I've been married too damn long. We just celebrated our 12-year anniversary over the weekend. Love you, sweetheart. It's been an absolute pleasure. What a journey during life. But I'll be back Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon for my midweek show. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you really soon. Thank you for joining me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. We'll see you soon. Bye.